gonna give in now. I think I'm gonna live this now. I think I'm gonna be when I'ma kill this stuff real quick. I'ma go take it to town, cause I gotta be that king in the ring when I'm knocking them out when I'm back with the win. Cause I am just up on the journey, you just know that I'm just going insane.
Warriors rise. Hey, what's up, Warriors? Happy Tuesday. One of my favorite times of the month when Waters Above and I get together to talk about the markets, and a lot has changed since we've been together, but nothing has changed with our mindset. So today we're going to be talking about the Shemitah, the fourth quarter, which is really, really important. We're going to dive deep into the markets and what just happened the last 4 weeks. Our lives have changed pretty dramatically, or the circumstance changed. Our emotions did not, which we're going to dive into. And then we're just going to chop it up as we always do. We'll probably get into some spirituality, but we're just going to have an open conversation about life and what's happening. One of the biggest things that we want to bring to you is light, love, and positivity, and help you stay grounded in a very ungrounded world. And some of the things we're going to talk about may create a little bit of fear inside of you, but remember, every circumstance is neutral. Your emotions are not. So first of all, I want to check in with Waters Above. How you doing, man? How's life been for the last 4 or 5 weeks?
Oh, everything's great. I'm doing better every day, and I'm really excited to connect with you.
Awesome, man. So let's dive into it. So we're talking about our communities, and we both have robust communities and from different walks of life, all kinds of different people. And so since we talked last time, the market's gone through some pretty wild stuff. We had Terra Luna collapsed. We have the regulation of stable coins coming out, the Loomis bill, where she verbalized to Mr. Wonderful that Bitcoin is going to be a commodity. So many different changes with the market collapsing down. How has your community responded to the market collapsing down? How are you responding to it, and how are you feeling since so much has changed?
Oh man, I mean, I'm loving it personally because like I've known about this Shemitah cycle since before I even started a channel, and I guess I'm one of the few crypto-based YouTubers who've brought up this 7-year cycle that we're in. And luckily, my channel got its explosive growth before the Shemitah started back in September. And that was before when me and you first connected around 10 months ago. So, and I am really grateful for you and your community and just all of this unity that we have together. But to speak on my community, we're doing amazing. I mean, the energy and just being so much more focused on helping each other and building. And again, like there's no division here. And I guess that has a lot to do with the way that I carry myself, the way that I, do my live streams, even with the connection that we had on the Great Awakening boot camp, that kind of energy that we have. Yes. It's getting people to look at this much more long term, but not only that, to not allow these crypto or the altcoins or your portfolio or whatever's going on to control your reality. To let it become this dominant force in your everyday life. If you give your emotions to these sorts of things, then how are you going to be able to, interact with your family or your children or your business or whatever it is? So for me, there always needed to be a bigger focus, and it cannot be the market.
Yeah, what's interesting about that? So you're going to see not only with, our community as well. Let me speak about our community. It's just been very calm. We always say don't trip by the dip, diamond hands, hold the line. And we've always been long-term fundamental. We've always said mindset is number one. One of the interesting things that you're going to see with these markets, and you see this with the bear markets, right? All of a sudden, even crypto influencers start going after each other because their views are going down, right? So views are going down, there's not some Shiba coin to pump or Doge coin to pump. And all of a sudden you see communities start to attack, right? And so what that happens is it's lack of grounding. And that's exactly what they want. And that's what I've been sharing with people quite a bit. They want us arguing about left. They want us arguing about right, mask, no mask, V, no V, the C, no C. And there's going to be a lot of other narratives coming very, very quickly, which is going to create some major social economic changes for all human beings in regards to that. But I've noticed that as well, that a lot of, I've had a lot of, they call them clout chasers on TikTok that are stitching my videos and smashing what I talk about. And I just say, I love you, brother. I love you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your feedback. Your feedback is warranted within your current paradigm. And it's interesting with human behavior. I want to talk about that and maybe give some people some ease of mind. And when people get backed into a corner, whether they lost hundreds of thousands of dollars or $100 or $1 million in the crypto market, they seem to start throwing punches, right? It's like a boxer being backed into a corner, right? And they haven't practiced in the off season. So have you seen those types of things, or what do you think's happening with the human psychology when people, because it's easy to be an influencer or a creator in the crypto space, or even it's easy to talk about crypto when it's booming, right? But when shit hits the fan, it seems like human behavior, they all start, not this group here, but people start swinging. So what have you seen with human behavior and why people react this way? And the elites know this, that they want us emotional and they want us fighting against each other.
It's easy to be an influencer. It's really hard to be a leader.
Powerful.
So, with people need to remember that if you vibrationally align with what me and Coach JV are doing, you're tapping into your own leadership through us. And that is all it is. Like I've said this since the beginning of my work, I speak to the ears of leadership. I don't speak to the ears of consumers. And I've chosen to be an architect, not a subject. I'm not here to be used as an energy source for someone else's dream. I'm here to fulfill my dream and to help other people fulfill theirs. And when it comes to you kicking and screaming on your way out of whatever it is in life because you believe you're failing or making mistakes, you need to remember that this whole reality is just energy. So if you want to live in abundance, you need to have that vibrational frequency of abundance. And if you start to go after another creator, you're going to be slowing down your creative energy. You're actually a parasite. You're feeding off of their energy, whether you feel good or bad about them. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, what they're receiving on the other end is your energy. And that's why the world operates the way that it does. And that's why the people who are controlling this world the way that they do, they're not looking at things in good or bad. They're looking at things based in energy and vibrational frequency. So you just need to remember that in your reality. Like if you have any hate towards people in your life, that's just a projection of where you're at with yourself. So, I'm not here to be making fun of anyone or to call any other creator names or any of that, because I've learned that when I honor anyone, when I honor greatness or honor creativity, it comes back to me in this amazing way. And it's not all about money, guys. Like if you want money, you can't get it by looking at everything from these ups and downs. You need to look at it from a vibrational perspective. And if you go out of your way to talk negative about other people who are doing better than you financially, or, with relationships or with success or whatever it is, again, you're just doing that same thing. You're just slowing yourself down.
Yeah, this is power. I want to say so real quick. I want to show you something. You just said, if you want money, I just changed my manifestation this morning. So one of my alarms says, my supply is infinite. God can never fail me. Dollars want me, right? Instead of I want money or I need money. Dollars want me. Dollars need me. Money works for me. And I think that goes into the whole word magic thing. And it's that thing you taught me that, I think I had told you that. I was listening to one of your lives. It might've been before we connected. And I remember I was saying, oh, these people are reporting my account. And guess what? They kept reporting my account over and over again. Finally, one day I heard you say something, or you had said it to me personally, or I don't remember what it was. And you're like, dude, you're giving it energy, man. Or I don't remember if you said on a live, but I remember I just stopped. And it was so interesting because I went through that cycle again where somebody started reporting. And Brenda from my team was like, dude, just go harder. Like, just let it go.
Yeah,
I let it go, and we exploded. It was wild. It was like I just released it to the universe. I was like, God, omnipresent, like, hey, I'm just going to release it, and I'm just going to keep pumping out. My content got better and better, because when you're operating in that frequency, you're actually attaching to the parasite. I love that. You're attaching to the parasite. The parasite is changing your frequency. Your content is changing because you're coming from scarcity. And so Brenda was like, dude, just let it go and start producing, and just you're producing out of fear and scarcity. And so that's what I wanted to dive in today before we go into like the Shemitah and the back end of the year is we're calling it the sustainable summer. And what we mean by that is sustaining the warrior mindset, sustaining the positivity, sustaining the high level of Christ consciousness, sustaining the love that you felt when the crypto market was up, that you felt when your relationship was kicking ass, that you felt when you first got that job, or that you felt when you got that first big hit on a cryptocurrency. If you can sustain that during these bear markets, or during a bear market in your business, or during a bear market in your relationship, I truly believe that's when you become a true warrior, right? getting internal, you're going deep. And, I've explained it this way, where when I was on my mom's couch, God, 3.5, almost 4 years ago, that's when I became the warrior, because I was like, if I can develop an abundant, wealthy mindset while I'm laying on my mom's couch at 42 years old, when all the odds are against me, if I can feel it and I can become it before it exists fully within the physical reality, and I can hold that during these times, that I can manifest anything, because I realized there was already a millionaire version of me. And then what happens is you're going to that frequency, and then you get to that point, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get hit by a train. All of a sudden, crypto collapses and Terra Luna collapses, and then Celsius locks up your cryptocurrency, and it really messes with your frequency, right? And that's where you really dig in, and that's where the true warriors are made in regards to the abundance mindset. And so, the sustainable summer for us is really the I am affirmations. Really changing what we're saying. My supply is infinite. God can never fail me. Dollars want me, right? They need me. They work for me. They multiply. And it's really important to say that when it's not in the physical reality. So what are some of the things you do, being a creator and being an artist, and when the crypto market is collapsing and it seems so hopeless, how do you keep yourself lifted up?
Yeah. So a big thing is you cannot place value in something external. So if you were placing value in the market when it was up, well, then when the value of that goes down, then your vibration, your energy goes along with that direction.
Mm.
I encourage people to place value in yourself. Place value in yourself, because when you place value in your business or in your investment thesis or in your girlfriend or in any of this, then what happens is when your girlfriend is mad at you, well, then you're mad now, you're angry, you're upset. So how are you able to deal with those conditions if you're just allowing it to control and to just basically be this you're tethered to it, as opposed to it should be tethered to you?
Mm.
And that little redirection right there, like what you said before about money, about like the dollars are seeking you. You've
Yeah.
just completely rewired the way that you're attached to this external world. And there is no external world. There is no linear reality. It's all just unity consciousness. But for me, I used to be the same, where I would the market would do this, or my business would do this, and what I noticed was, well, it's those who react are the ones that are consistently, taking focused action on every single thing that comes your way. Focusing on the solutions, not existing in problems. Most people love problems. Their whole life is drama and theater. It's like they want their girlfriend to get mad at them. That'll bring some spice into their day. Their life is so lacking in vibrational frequency that they want to have, Kim Kardashian do something. They love drama. And if you're just obsessed with the drama of this world, then yeah, what happens with Brad Garlinghouse and Gary Gensler and the SEC?
Yep.
Yeah, that's your life force energy. That is it's connected to you like a fucking IV drip.
Mm.
So you need to supply yourself with your own vitality, with your own essence. And for me, the only way to truthfully do that is through creation, through providing something that's unique and that's an imprint of you, not just living off of all this external nature and being a consumer of everything that surrounds you.
Right. This is powerful. This is so powerful, man. We just came off a team call with this, and we were, so we came, and I'm going to express a little bit to the warrior or people watching this. We just came off a team call, and one of the things we were talking about was how do we give someone a positive point? Because what you said is so powerful, and I hope people really grab onto that. Because think about this. So say the SEC Ripple case, when it settles and it's done, and XRP goes to the moon, and blah, 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 it does all this stuff. So what's next? What's next? What are we going to attach to next? And like we were talking about that within our academy, it's like when cryptocurrency fell, it's like, oh shoot, where's the narrative now? What is the narrative now? And so what is really important about what you said is it's knowing that it's an intentional move every single day. That's it. We were talking about intentions versus expectations, right? So expectations are, you expect Bitcoin to go 100,000. Well, it didn't. So now what? Right? So now what? Your intentions are to be an investor, to build a long-term portfolio, to be a good person every single day, to show up with light, love, and positivity, and let the universe flow through you versus happening to you. And it's so important what you said, because Think about it. A lot of XRP holders on here. What about when the case and you get your big day in the sun, right? And all of a sudden the crypto shoots up. What I've been telling people is no matter where you are, you're going to find yourself. If you're sitting in a mansion now with a Lamborghini, the same person's going to show up there, right?
What are you gonna do with all your money if you didn't develop a persona or develop anything unique during the process? Like if you take a poor man and a rich man, they're equivocal if they have nothing to bring to this world. Like one just has less resources and one has access to more resources. But the self, the person that's behind those quote unquote resources, what's their value? That's why a lot of people that gain monetary wealth are not happy. They're not blissful. So we need something to do with our time. And believe it or not, what we do is we either play games or we just become playing, like the act of play. And that's what a child is. That's the subconscious reality. And that's why children are so pure and they don't care about the crypto market or the bills or none of that shit bothers them because they're living in that unity consciousness where they're allowing everything to come and go. But some wisdom for those of us, because I know there's no babies watching this, obviously. For you grown-ups out there, you need to realize that the market is an extension of Mother Nature. The market is a cyclical thing, just like we have winter and we have summer. We have the fall, we have the harvest, we have all of these aspects of even the Shemitah. Shemitah means release, and it has everything to do with agriculture. But it's been adopted and adapt to this new financial reality where everything is tied to money, right? Currency. But before we had monetary currency, we just had a different form of currency. There was a time where we were fighting war over salt. Okay.
Yep.
We had shells as a form of currency. We used precious metals. I mean, how could anyone determine that it's fair to say that an ounce of gold is worth $1,800? That's just make believe. Money is a belief system, just like your religion, just like your school, just like everything. But you know what isn't a belief system? The cycles of nature.
Right.
You could believe all you want that it's going to be cold during June in Atlanta, Georgia, and it won't be. It'll be hot as shit and humid. So you just allow it, though. We don't look at the summertime and go, oh, this sucks. It's so hot. I can't, no. It's nature. Look at the market like an extension of Mother Nature. And this is what I taught on my mastermind course like almost 2 years ago. I started it out by explaining that the astrological connection that we have to markets and then all the other connections that I made that I've shared with your audience, my audience for over the last year is that it's proving that there's a cyclical nature to the market. Just like we have apples grow at a specific time of year, then we have, kale grow at a specific time of year. Then it gets really cold out. The trees lose their leaves, but some parts of the earth are beautiful and robust. And that's the way the market works. There's different sectors. There's Forex, there's precious metals, there's really speculative assets like fintech and cryptocurrency, etc. And all you need to do is be the best farmer. You just need to be the best farmer of the market. Don't worry about what the other farm is doing down the road. Don't worry if this guy is selling more at the farmer's market than you. You have a mission statement to fulfill, which is survival, comfort, and stimulation. Once you provide yourself those three things, you're okay in life. It's somebody who's looking at other people surviving better than them or who are more comfortable than them or able to attract more stimulus than them. That's a person that's living in a consistent state of fear, and they're always paying attention outward instead of going inward. So all I recommend people do is look at the market like an extension of Mother Nature, and then you're going to be able to get such an upper hand on the market.
Right. Well, gosh, I love this, man, because right now, what should we be doing? Farming, right? But building, tilling, getting in there. And it's like everybody does the opposite. So the market crashes down. Everybody goes running from crypto when they should be buying. And then when everybody gets excited, right? Everybody's buying corn, man. When everybody's buying corn, it's abundant, right? And it's like the person who's getting the corn bought from them is making all the money. And
corn's on sale right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm diving into this. I want to get your opinion on this. And now I want to be very clear what I'm going to say these are all narratives. Okay. And you talked about the cycles, and I've been studying this. There's these big 1,000-year cycles where there's one where we're in a cycle right now, which our kids won't go through this. There's it's thousands of years where it's climate change narrative, economic narrative, and war at the exact same time. And so they say, like, with the climate change, where it heats up a little bit, right? I'm not saying it heats up and cools down, heats up and cools down, right?
Mm.
So when it's hotter, people act, or when it's out of alignment, people act out a little bit. And now what they do is they take advantage of the human behavior, and they get people to fight against each other. They create these socioeconomic or geopolitical narratives. And then so they the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, put out a terrorist threat for Americans fighting against Americans. I'm like, is anybody watching this? Like, is anybody like paying attention to this? They just put out a terrorist threat about Americans fighting against Americans in the next 12 months.
That's a civil war.
Civil war, yes. And I'm like, because people, what I'm recommending is people right now, self-development is huge. Step back, get out of the bullshit, and start developing your brain. Start diving into good, positive content. Understand how to create cash flow, learn the system, and then start farming right now. Like you said, start tilling the ground, put in that. I mean, and let's go into that. Let's go into the Shemitah, because that has the representation of, when you taught me about the Shemitah, when I dove into it, is agriculture, right? So we're coming to the Shemitah in September. You had brought me to the Shemitah last year. I'm an ex-banker, and when I dove into it, I'm like, whoa, this makes a lot of sense. So every 7 years, there's a cycle, an economic cycle, and it's usually some sort of stock market collapse. But I'll let you take the wheel from here. So we're going into the Shemitah. We're just a couple months away.
Yeah.
It looks like everything's lining up.
And you did an awesome introduction. I mean, it's very it is actually quite simple. What's difficult is when you're living through it, because when you're living through it, it's like you're feeling the energy, and the energy is always coming from multiple angles, because the person who runs this world they're not playing checkers, they're playing chess. And they're like Bobby Fischer, man. You want to know? Because they invented this fucking game. They invented money. They invented the central banking system. They invented the Federal Reserve. They invented they invented every problem also, purposefully, to come in with their solutions. So everything that they did behind our money system, and this is something to clear up a lot of confusion with people. People believe that these problems are something that they're unaware of. Absolutely not. They designed the Federal Reserve 100 years ago as a problem, and they already had the solution when they gave it to you. Yeah. These people are so sophisticated at what they do. It would blow your mind if you really studied the inner working of how it actually operates. The machinations of finance across the board, global finance, was designed to get to this place it's coming to today, where it will be a technocratic, quantum-based blockchain, fiat-like stable coin that'll become tokenized and just become a one world thing. You could call it whatever you want. You could imagine whatever you want to imagine, but ultimately that's just the way we're moving. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to be the totalitarian tiptoe. Like 1 year at a time, you're going to see a new implementation. It might happen in one place more hardcore than the next, but essentially what this adds up to is every 7 years we have this thing called Shemitah, and at the end of the Shemitah, we have a big global financial issue. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a market crash, but it just so happens that every historic market crash was during a Shemitah year. Now, what's really special about this 7-year cycle is after 7 cycles of 7 years, which is 49 years, on the 50th year, we have something called Jubilee. So 50 years ago, we had the Nixon shock, where that organization took us off the gold standard, and we were the world reserve currency. So that was a huge change in global finance. And if you look at the charts, if you look at what happened with gold around that time, if you look at what happened with the dollar, just everything, you can see the way things were going. And then if you compare house prices to where they were in the 70s versus today, it's obvious the hyperinflation. And people would say, they could come up with their theories behind it. But as far as I could tell, houses used to be built better back in the 70s than they are today. So there's no qualitative function as to why the houses are 7 times more money. It's just the scam inflated more and more and more, and now it's at the peak scam. So when we look at the housing market crisis in 2007, 2008, or the dot-com bubble followed by 9/11, we had the Asian markets in 2014, 2015, in that time frame. You could just keep going. The 86, 87 event where they had Black Monday. The Wolf of Wall Street movie shows you that in the intro. So all of these big global financial crises that we've had are during a Shemitah year. And one thing that they all have in common is we have a parabolic bull run in that time frame. So it could either be the year before, the year during, or really right up to the end. And that was the 1987 event where
Mm,
we just went parabolic until the day of Shemitah. And then we started to have a correction. And then there was an eclipse in October and it was just game lights out. It was one of the
yes.
biggest free falls that we've seen in the market. The same thing with 2029 and 1929. And what's interesting about the Great Depression, that 1929 event, is it happened after the Spanish flu.
Mm,
And remember what they were comparing the C word to. And
yep.
they were saying it's a form of H1N1, blah, 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 Spanish flu. So they were just predictively programming you guys, letting you know that this is the way it's all going to go. And then what happened in 1933? We got that gold confiscation.
Yep.
So they're setting us up for like a cashless society, basically. To sum it up really quickly, the time frame of which this will occur is probably between 2023 to 2025, and that'll have a lot to do with the ISO 222 implementation and just all the other things that are to come. But right now, what we're experiencing, to give people something to compare this to, is the dot-com bubble. If
Mm,
you pay attention to the way the dot-com bubble was, according to the indices like the overall Dow Jones and the S&P, of course, the NASDAQ is mostly tech sector. So when that dot-com bubble came in, it almost seemed isolated. It was profound in its isolation. We were seeing things that were like 90% drops, 85% drops were normal. Well, here we are. We're in crypto,
yeah.
and 90% drop is like it's like another day in the matrix, right? So
Right.
when we're looking at the similarities, I urge everyone, you want to be paying attention or studying the dot-com bubble and study what happened around 9/11, because what happened around 9/11, gas prices shot to
Skyrocketed.
the sky. We had hyperinflation in energy. And if we get inflation in energy, that means we get inflation in food, because you need trucks and everything, and all this logistics is powered by oil. So this is nothing new under the sun, guys. This is a
Mhm.
cyclical repeat of events that have happened before. Even back then, we had the war on terror. So they were pushing a war narrative in 2001
Yep.
with the weapons of mass destruction and all that shit. And they're doing that right now with the Ukraine, Russia. They're trying to bring in Taiwan, China. They're pulling out every stop they
Yep.
can to get humans in a vibrational frequency that is solely in fear. So if you're listening to this today, you have a choice to determine, do you want to be,
Yep.
do you want to let that parasite control you? Do you want to be living in fear? Or do you want to take this knowledge and awareness and wisdom that we're all talking about today and utilize that to give yourself an edge? You don't need to be emotional with your knowledge. And that's a sad thing that happens to people. Sometimes when you learn about what's going on in our reality, it's a tough pill to swallow. And then people just become distraught. They become anxious, depressed. Don't let it do that to you. Let your knowledge and your wisdom be the superpower.
That's beautiful. So what do you think is what is your you don't have to predict or anything, but what is your feeling that's gonna happen? Do you think there's gonna be a parabolic move or was the parabolic move during 2021 for crypto? And then we're gonna go into, because I can jump into have deep knowledge in the banking system.
Mhm.
I've been telling people since my channel started, the banking system is gonna be completely different by 2025. Everybody was making fun of me 2.5 years ago, and now then ISO and then the Fed now services, they moved it to 2023. The reason why is because they're gonna get stablecoin regulation first.
Yeah.
Once they get the stablecoin regulation, they're going to launch it. I'm doing a video tomorrow on the banks in Canada. I went to CBA Executive Banking School, Consumer Banking. Commonwealth Bank has already launched their app. They actually just paused it because of the crypto market, but they launched an app for their customers inside of Commonwealth Bank. They did a pilot where customers were buying and selling 10 cryptocurrencies. It's already happening, Warriors. Your banks are going to, not that you have to do it there, but they're going to custody your crypto. So
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. 2023 to 2025, because the Jubilee is 2023. Or actually, it starts in the Hebrew year of 5,783, which will be September 27th. So starting September 27th of this year, which is the last day of Rosh Hashanah and the Hebrew New Year, that's the end of Shemitah. You're probably going to see a really big, again, I don't want to predict stuff, but we could use this time frame and cyclical, repetitive qualities from the past. When we take the late September time frame and push it through November, we're probably going to have an event. I don't know what this event's going to be like, but it's probably going to be something. It's going to be something that is probably quick, overnight when no one expects it. It's how they like to do it.
Yep.
So, regarding a couple of the questions you had and breaking it down, the parabolic move in the market is over. That's already happened. That was the 2021 into April move for the overall market cap, and then the stock market finished it off early this year. And now we're kind of in a process of seeing the correction unfold. Will there be relief here and there? Of course. If anything, I think Bitcoin has become so undervalued and XRP has become so undervalued. I think things like Ethereum have more to give. So when I look across the board, you're seeing a lot of coins that have done 10,000 to 100,000% gains. They needed to lose like 90 to 95% of their value. If you look at Ethereum back in 2017 into 2018, even that coin lost 95% of its value. XRP lost 95% of its value off the $3.30 all-time high that it had back in January of 2018. So this is nothing new under the sun. Even the best, most highest market cap projects go through these huge swings. So what I think is we're in a process of seeing how the rest of this Shemitah is going to turn out. But I think what's really going to be telling is the end of Q4 as we transition through November. There's probably going to be some event where a lot of coins go to zero. Even Ethereum dropping to like $300 to $400, I think that will wipe out a lot of altcoins, a lot of them. Like we're talking about like similar to the .com bubble, where we're just going to watch a lot of stuff slowly go to zero through March of 2023.
Yeah, I think it will also from a business perspective too. People, I've been working to prepare people, like working at a bank, right? When I worked at a bank, when regulation comes in, right? How expensive it is. Number one, to switch the infrastructure to distributed ledger technology. If they do it themselves, that's why these blockchains are so important. But then the ones that have to get up with regulation, the exchanges that are not following regulation, it's expensive. It takes manpower. With the recession happening, they're laying people off. And so a lot of these cryptos, once they come out with regulation, are just going to collapse. I mean, completely collapse. It happened in the .com. It happened in the automotive era too. Who were the three big that ended up? Chrysler, GM, and Ford ended up. And guess who are the government subsidized ones? Chrysler, GM, and Ford, right? So it's like always these ones that end up, they regulate it or they resist it, they sue it, they regulate it, then they join it. And so that's the biggest thing that I've been really focusing on for my fundamentals, is trying to pick which ones I think are going to win and be here with that have really good leadership teams. Fundamentals are up and running right now. Companies that are growing during this time and not, going in a backwards motion, and they have real leadership teams. So I think that's the biggest thing that people need to look at and be careful in the crypto space, and be careful in Telegram groups and Discord groups, these pump and dump schemes, and just be very careful. I think that whole narrative of is over in regards to like chasing these massive lottery.
Yeah, I know it's done. It's gone. And what you said was so important. I love how you broke down your reason behind why you get into a project. I have so many moments where I used to do portfolio reviews, and I don't do it anymore because my schedule would be insane. But I used to offer them, and dude, I'm talking about 1,000 portfolio reviews easily. Wow. And 90% of them, like I shit you not, and this is why I'm able to teach the way that I teach, because I know what people invest in. 90% of them, I would ask people questions about like, why are you even in this stuff? And they have no fucking idea. They have no idea. They don't even know anything about the company, about who's partnered with it. So this was a sign to me that the similarities of the .com bubble are so close. It's like impossible to see a difference, even the percentage gains in some of these projects. So we're right now watching a slow drain of the 20,000 cryptocurrencies that are going to be put. All of that liquidity is going to go somewhere, and I know where it's going to go. I know where it's going to go. So, I mean, I'm just banking on the projects the way you are. I'm looking right now ahead of time who has the partnerships, who has the ISO compliance, who is part of this overall New World Order agenda, and then I could just sit back and relax. I spend my day-to-day life developing projects, creating art, and doing things that help humanity. I'm not worried about the projects anymore because I did the research.
Yes.
Most
Yeah.
people aren't doing the research. They're hearing about some, like, Shiba Elon Doge dildo coin, and then they go put $1,000 in it, and then they feel like they're going to become a millionaire. And it's like, you could have saved that $1,000 to invest in an advertising agency. You could have bought yourself a laptop. You could have bought yourself a microphone. You could have already been making fucking YouTube videos and like sharing your truth with the world. Instead, you blew this money on some ridiculous nonsense because you learned about it on YouTube or Twitter or TikTok. And
Yeah.
you didn't take any personal time to go research what was behind the project. See, there's nothing wrong if you learn about something from people, and then it's up to you to go do your own research
Yeah.
afterwards before you start putting your money into stuff. I never tell people copy me or that I'm giving the 100% truth. I've moved away from all of that behavior because I know what this market's really about. It's about people finding saviors. And I urge people, get out of that savior complex.
Yeah.
Coach JV and me, we're here to share our truth. We've done the hard work. We've done the inner soul searching. We're here sharing it. That's it. And if you're influenced by that and you feel you vibrationally align with this truth, then that's beautiful. Together we could build. But it's not about you just diving headfirst into something because I did it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is what we've always. It's been an interesting dynamic. It's like one of the things that I get the biggest hate on is I'm called the XRP or banker shill, right? That's what they call me on TikTok, the banker shill, and I'm like, I put out a post the other day and I said, guys, if you're not paying attention to the Ripple XRP case, even if you don't like XRP, whatever, it is going to dictate how they regulate cryptocurrency. It literally is designed to dictate how they regulate cryptocurrency. And I've been sharing with people like, there's been a lot of influencers, a lot of people that all of a sudden their exchange gets shut down or their crypto's gone and there's nowhere to go. Like there's no one to call. There's nobody insuring your wealth. There's nobody. And so there's all these factors that, there's the yin and yang, there's the dark and light, there's the too far to the left, too far to the right. Because some regulation could be good. What if you had somebody you could call and be like, hey, listen, I just got all my crypto taken from me. Is there a customer service line I could call? So there's balance to everything within the yin and yang. And it's like, I've been trying to tell people, I'm like, guys, what's the market cap now? Did it drop under $1 trillion? I think it's under $1 trillion.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I think it dropped under $1 trillion now. So if people don't realize that it's under $1 trillion, go look at the global markets, how big the global markets are, right? Us with our under $1 trillion in the crypto market are not going to dictate how money works now. We're not going to go sovereign. We're not going to change the monetary system. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've been working to express to people through my own expression. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe that our measly under $1 trillion is going to change the global markets. We're not going to change the way that money flows. Whoever controls the money controls the information, controls the people. And so you're better off just stepping back and looking to say, okay, what are these companies doing? Like VChain, supply chain management, right? They're already up in Shanghai, Walmart, McDonald's. They're already doing these things. The CEO travels over 270 days a year, right? The guy's out there working. I study his videos. I watch his articulation. Brad Garlinghouse. Everybody calls me an XRP maxi. I'm not a maxi. I understand banking. It's like someone being a CrossFitter. You talk about CrossFit, right? And when he talks, he's articulate. They're going through an SEC case. He's articulate. His team is articulate. They don't say they know how to respond, and they're under pressure from the SEC supposedly. And those are things that I'm just trying to get people to take a deep breath and understand that you have to, I call it Warren Buffett style investing in crypto. You dive into the team, you dive into the board of directors, you dive into the real world solve. You ask yourself, okay, what problem is this solving for the commercial banks? I'm an ex-banker. I understand what the Ripple alone does for the banking system, their distributed ledger technology, their liquidity hub. I mean, if you understand what that does for the banking system, take out the XRP name or Ripple, what liquidity hub or XRP does, because banks are in a liquidity crisis right now. Banks are screwed. Banks make money off of interest income. They make money off of capital markets income and fee income. People aren't walking into banks anymore, right?
They make money off of selling you money.
Right. And if nobody has money, they're fucked. So guess what?
If no one wants to buy any money.
Right.
If no one wants to take a loan, they're fucked.
Yes. So if money's not cheap anymore, remember, guys, money's been cheap since the 80s. It's been so cheap. Like very wealthy people are like, dude, this has been like child's play. They've been able to borrow money, buy assets, borrow money, buy assets. So the working poor buy stuff that make the rich wealthy, and the wealthy use credit to buy assets. And it's been like this for a very long time. Now the wealthy's like, oh shit, They're making money expensive now, right? So they're the only ones with access to it. And so the working poor is like, I can't even get access to money. My mortgage now is double the price if I wanted to buy a home. We're going to start consolidating. So banks are like, oh shit, how are we going to make money? Customer service, move the money at speed of light. It only cost me a penny to move this transaction, but I can charge you 35 cents. Seems cheap to you, but I'm making a huge margin because there's trillions of dollars running through these banks. And so what I predict is banks are going to be customer service departments. Basically, they're going to get rid of tellers. They're going to get rid of most of the bankers. They're going to have a telebanker. If you need a banker, and it'll pop up on a screen and you're going to talk to the telebanker. We were already doing that 9 years ago. We were moving to fintech, man, financial technology. We were getting rid of tellers. We're getting rid of, I just went over to my brick and mortar branch to a business transaction. It's closed. There's a sign on there like, hey, we shut down this branch. I'm like, okay, here it comes. Here it comes, man.
Yeah, that's also another sign for those out there that are listening to us right now is if you have a job and you feel like you're in one of those sectors that's about to get replaced, like please, like hustle, bro. Hustle. Like don't waste your fucking time right now with entertainment. You need to figure it out. Like anyone who's listening to this that's in a sector that's probably going to get replaced, like truck driving. And I mean, I don't want it to happen. Like,
no, me neither.
I don't want it. Like, I want us to thrive as a species, but the person who's running this show, they have different desires. So you need to figure that out. And a lot of people are going to wait till the last minute, just like people with investing. And we talked about this slightly before we started the live stream. With investing, people wait till it's the fucking bull run.
I know.
They're just waiting. They're like, oh, and then when the market's low like this, they're like, oh, I wish I bought when the market was in a bear market. Oh, yeah, but you don't buy when it's in a bear market. You wait till it's a bull run. Right. That's why I don't. My community knows this. I decided to not talk about the market and bull run and bear market anymore. It's like out of my like vocabulary. It's a nonsensical way of analyzing markets. And what you said before about Warren Buffett, one of the things that I love about that I enjoy about Warren Buffett's teachings is the circle of competence.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. We have an economy that's printing money to heaven. Like as long as they keep printing, then all of these risk on assets over a long-term time horizon will appreciate. So you don't need to look at bull and bear markets. Like we know about the Shemitah now. We know about the moon cycle. This is stuff I teach on a weekly basis. So we have these little tricks of the trade. Like we could try our best to time the market, but it is so much more. It's so much better to use your free time to just look at this from a holistic perspective. Your life isn't a 4-year cycle. So when people look at the whole crypto market as the 4-year cycle, you're not alive for 4 years. You're alive for a long time. Like you need to look at life as if it's life, not a fucking 4-year crypto cycle. Oh, I don't care when the halving is. I don't care when the SEC case is predicted to end. None of that matters because my life still needs to go on. So you need to invest accordingly. You don't invest based on like where the market is. And this is where the emotion comes in. Because right now, I'm not personally buying right now. It's just where I'm at with my life. I'm deciding to hold off based on my investment thesis of the end of the Shemitah. That's just me. I do believe that this next big leg down could return a lot of cryptos back to like the companies behind the cryptos to bankruptcy. Because there's a company behind these tokens sometimes. I don't think a lot of them are going to do too well. So that's why I'm focused. Like I actually brought up VeChain today in my video. So it's funny you talked about VeChain. It's one of my biggest holdings. I have zero negative feelings about that holding at all. Like I'm long term. I feel totally fine about it because I've done the research. I've done a gematria decode on the company. I know what's going on. So I'm chilling. But when it comes to the big picture, like I do hope that people see that this is just a cycle and you need to do your best within the cycle, but don't get emotional because when the next bull run starts, if that's what you want to call it, a bull run, when the next bull run starts, don't be that person that's waiting and then you jump in and FOMO. Right. Like I want you to be the person in the next cycle that is able to actually say, oh, I bought the bear market.
Yes.
Instead of like everyone else that waited till fucking Shiba Inu was invented to become a crypto investor.
Right.
That's what happened to most people. Like I remember I was going to the grocery store one time and I heard somebody in behind me talking about Shiba and I'm like, what? I actually turned around and I said, hey, have you ever heard of Ethereum? And they said, no, what's that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was proof to me, okay, this is probably a market top.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great.
It was when I made my last big de-risks back
Wow.
in April and May of 2021. That was when I sold off like 60% of my portfolio. I kept a little more for Shemitah because I knew we would have like, you know, a little bit of a start of that energy. But
Mhm.
then when I started hearing people only talk about Shiba, I was like, no, man,
Yep.
this is too much. This is obvious.
Wow. Yeah, it's so important to listen because hopefully people will understand this because what's going to happen is you know if you're not in an environment like I created my own environment, people are like, well, JB, it's easy for I created this environment. I left corporate America. I go to my home. I come here. It's all warriors here. We all work here. We're all warriors. Everybody's high vibration. You know what's interesting? We're a crypto academy, a financial generational wealth building academy, and we very rarely talk about crypto. How weird is that, right? We research fundamentals. We're not like, hey, this is pumping, this is pumping. You don't hear people walking in going, oh, you know, I get Shiba is pumping right now, right? So you don't hear people, hey, Shiba. We're like, hey guys, what did you learn today? What are we looking at? What is this company doing? We're like diving into companies. We're diving into leadership teams. We're diving into fundamentals. Like I have all these documents up right here that are deep into the CBA documents talking about distributed ledger technology, and that's a great hobby to have for people right now. Like if you don't have a lot of things to focus on, you know, besides watching these videos, going out there and diving into it. So when you hear these things, you can go look for yourself and go, and all these light bulbs start coming off. And then when you go to make an investment, you can have discernment because you're like, wait a minute. When somebody comes to you, like for example, I've had a lot of people want me to take equity in their company, and so when I take and I've slowed down, I've stopped that because I'm like I need to focus. I'm like you. I'm focused on this crash. And what does that mean for me? Like for example, I'm dollar cost averaging in. So I learned through wise counsel is that, you know, I used to put big chunks when it would go down. So what I do is I have money on the sidelines as it has a hard dip. I dollar cost average in. I put a little bit, and then I'm you know, hearing your advice around the Shemitah, I'm going to hold cash on the sidelines. I'm going to buy a little bit every single week. But I've been DCAing, gosh, ever since I got into crypto, and it adds up so quickly, man, so quickly. Every Friday I'll tell you guys, I buy CRO, VeChain, Ethereum, and now I'm doing QNT every single Friday. I've just been doing that for a long time. And then
the Saturn tokens.
oh wow, I didn't know that. And it's like I dove into it. And again, like I love that you brought up VeChain, and we both were talking about that. Is like, and just to give you an example, guys, go study the CEO. The guy is like, you know, he has kids, and the guy's I think he travels 270 days a year promoting
They
this.
might be the first use case crypto ever of all time.
Right.
Like they might be the first one ever to not even be considered a cryptocurrency, but we're operating like a blockchain technology as a stock. And they
Yes.
were performing a logistical task for the Chinese Communist Party. Anyways, what people need to learn about VeChain is they're OG. They're as OG as it gets. Like they go back before they were called VeChain.
Yep. Yep.
I
See,
I did a decode on them actually,
wow.
a full blown gematria decode on my Patreon. But yeah, that one is like, it was pretty legit because it opened up my eyes and it told me like this is part of my personal research.
Yep.
Like if I could do decoding with gematria and I could take some time to actually see the inner working and the machination behind the tokenomics and the people who run the company, etc. You know, I did it for your community with XRP and Ripple.
Yep.
I proved to you, like Chris Larson, David Schwartz, all these people that are involved with Ripple and the company called, you know, the token XRP.
Yeah.
It was all designed by code. Like it's all there. It's all, you know, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yep. You know, it's interesting. A lot of people watching this, if you're not in our academy, he decoded my name in inside of our Great Awakening Bootcamp and in the academy, and my name, and my date, where I lived, all that stuff equals 3T Warrior Academy. And we just went through a rebrand, and so that's not our new brand right there. We need to get a new thing. But when we rebranded, they were thinking about taking the name 3T out, and I was like, we're not taking 3 out. No, we can't take 3T out of the name. And what we did is, if you see our rebrand, actually see it right here in the corner, we actually it's the Trinity. So we designed it as the Trinity. So it's pretty cool. So there's a whole deep, it's Trinity, protection, warrior spirit, internal, right? And so we kept the 3T because it's the 3 T's, it's Trinity, timing, target, trigger, and then it represents a Trinity for us. But one thing I want to talk to you, I know we got like 15 minutes, but I want to dive into discussing Bitcoin and crypto during the last Shemitah in 2014 and 2015. I wanted to dive into that and how that is similar. So just to share with you guys, if you're just watching this, we're in the Shemitah right now. It ends in September. And in 2014, 2015, 7 years ago, how is this cycle very similar?
So what is similar is that the charts are showing that around the Shemitah year through the whole September to September timeframe, it was the best time to buy Bitcoin.
Mm,
So that's not me saying that this is 100% the best price, but we're really close within a band of price targets. So if we had to create like a band with technical analysis and with just studying prior market cycles and how these coins like to move, somewhere between like 13 to $14,000 Bitcoin, upwards of like 18K Bitcoin, that's about as good as it gets.
mm,
And we just swipe down into 17.5. And I suspect at the end of Shemitah, that could be the moment where at least we double bottom, or maybe we just swipe a little bit lower into 14. But people need to know the speed at which Bitcoin gets bought up after these really oversold moments is within moments. It could
right.
be a 4 hour candle. It could be back up 20%, you know? So when someone before, I'm not looking at the chat, but if somebody was saying that Shiba is pumping, well, it's lost 91% from the top. To move it up 40% in a day, it requires no capital. There's no
Mm,
market. It's like, these people that are running the show, they have so much money. No coins are pumping right now. Like everything has just retraced 90%, So there's been huge corrections in the market. And when we see Bitcoin make a move down to like 16, 15K, if that was to happen, that would be very, very similar to what happened in the last Shemitah. We just unfortunately don't have a ton of tokens to analyze because all of these cryptos are pretty new. You know what I mean, JV?
right, right.
So we only really have things like Bitcoin. There were some projects going back there. It's hard to find charts. It's very difficult to find actual data to look back at. And as a technical analyst, I need to have data. I need to look at the charts and I need to have something to base it off of. But as for Bitcoin, Bitcoin was invented before the last Shemitah. It was trading publicly around that 2012, 2013 timeline. It went crazy, man, like from a penny to like $30 or something crazy like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it outperformed everything. Like,
Wow, man.
a lot of people talk about XRP and how good it did in the last bull run. But I mean, oh my God, Bitcoin went from less than a penny to $30.
Could you imagine? Could
Yeah.
you imagine? Wow.
Imagine, and most of the people that were getting it back then were getting it for free through just mining it. But anyways,
Wow.
it's not to compare because they're apples and oranges. I'm completely aware they're totally different use cases, fundamentals, etc. But the point being is that when we look back at the last Shemitah, we see that Bitcoin was a beautiful buying opportunity. And that means that if Bitcoin's a good buying opportunity, then any use case alt is going to give you way more ROI. You just have to be willing to look at the swings,
Yep.
because with Bitcoin, you could have an 80% correction. With these altcoins, you could watch them go to zero. I mean, it's very normal. In the last bull run, a lot of people are unaware, but a lot of coins went to zero in 2018.
Wow.
A lot of them did. People could go research that if they would like, but a lot of companies that were just showing up in 2017 when the market started to go up for the entire sector, we saw coins go to zero in 2018. I mean, it wasn't, and we've also seen big dramatic scams happen in the crypto
Yep.
market. So I
Yep.
think what we're seeing right now with Celsius, I gotta admit, I didn't have enough time to like look into what's going on. And I'm sure people in my community could educate me as time goes. But what's going on with Celsius happened in 2018. There was just a lot of people doing crazy shit with the exchanges and locking people out of their accounts and saying
Mhm.
that like we need to wait for market volatility. No, what do you mean? Like give people their money back, bro. Like
Right.
your company needs to go to zero. Like stop stealing people's fucking money because you have a bad business model.
Yes.
What
That
they
that
did, what they
yeah.
did that I think I'm correct about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they started they were leverage holding. They're holding Bitcoin on leverage
Yep.
trades on open longs.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did they publicly tell people this?
I don't know. That's the narrative. I don't have a lot of education on it as well. I was just saw a bunch of stuff on Twitter about it, and it's like, yeah, they're about to get liquidated, man. So they shut everything down, and it's like
So
it's
why are they leverage trading their Bitcoin position?
don't know. I
That
don't
is
know.
like that is
Yeah.
stupid times infinity.
Yes. And it's like I think that like what people will realize is because there is no oversight on a lot of this stuff. It's people creating these companies, and they're just because it was boom, man. Everything was booming, and so they get greedy, and there's a lot of greed involved, and people make money when they've never made money before. That happens a lot of times, and there's a lot of money coming in, and it's like I remember I got liquidated one time because I got greedy with doing DeFi loan. I was like, man, this is going to keep going, right? I was borrowing and buying more assets and doing what the wealthy do, and I got liquidated. I was like, oh shit. And I was from that point on, I'm like, I am not playing games with my money, man. I am not. If I want to play games, I'll just go to the casino.
Yeah, that's another thing that what's his name teaches is Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. They talk about like if you're gonna use leverage, it needs to be insanely low.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
it has to be really low, and you should not play with the whole position. It should be a percentage. I teach that in my advanced trading course. Like it's a course based around trading, and it tells you like 10% of your whole portfolio max should be for leverage trading. This way, if you get wiped out your whole trading account, you have 90% of your collateral still.
Right. Yes. And that's what I do for like my shitcoins. I have 10% of my portfolio that's in shitcoins. And what I did is, and that's something I was very disciplined on, is when I got a nice pump, I pulled out my initial investment always. After the next pump, I bought Ethereum. That's how I've always done it. So I did it with Shiba, I did it with Doge. Yeah, I did it with Doge. I did it with Shiba. I missed the first pump in Doge. I hit the second one with the Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, back in 2018, or 2016 till 2018, people were doing like this little old lady strategy where they would trade on the Bitcoin pair. So they would trade all coins on the Satoshi pair and collect Satoshis, but off of the volatility of the altcoin. And whenever it would hit a double, they would remove a piece of their position and then keep doing that over and over and over again. And that strategy is something that I'm gonna put back into a course during like when Shemitah is over, because I don't even know what coins are going to go to zero. This market has 20,000 coins, and maybe 15 of them actually have a good technology, so it's like I'm not trying to shit on anyone's favorite project, but like we just all have to admit like this is very bubble and when we see a huge company like Celsius go through or look at Terra Luna, they were like top 5 market cap, right?
Yep.
They were within at least the top 10 market cap, and they went to zero pretty much. And nothing that they've changed or they've implemented since that collapse has been helpful for anyone. It's just probably another instrument for them to continue to benefit off of people who are retail investors. So I've always been saying this since the beginning, like you guys can't be trusting anybody in this sector. You should only trust yourself. Like when it comes to giving your money over to these exchanges, the person with the hardware wallet always wins.
Right. Yes, that's it. And you just gotta, I think, we're at a good stopping point, but I just wanted to, hopefully we'll keep these going. Absolutely. We'll keep them going. We just got to keep people calm. We're calling it the sustainable summer in the academy. And just really, this is about long-term game. You should be thinking 5-10 years down the road. And, I was listening to a great business coach, and he said, if you ever run into somebody and you're talking business with them and they're talking about making money 2 weeks from now or making money a month from now, then you should run for the hills if you're going to go into business with them. And they have a strategy where they say, hey, listen, dude, I'm looking at 15 years. We're going to scale to a $30 million company. We've always had a 5-year plan with our company. And so it's that short-term, quick mindset that gets you caught up in the emotions. Like you look at a business and a lot of people are like, oh, well, business is pulling back and looking at it's like this, right? Your lows should be a little bit higher. And so people get so caught up in that the micro. You got to get macro right now, really, really macro. And diversification is huge as well. So I'm preaching big time diversification within my academy. Like I'm diversified in business heavily. I'm diversified in my leveraged life insurance, got a little bit of silver. I'm really focusing on, that's something I learned through Wise Counsel the last 3 years. Cause I was, if I hadn't branched out into business and got into leveraged life insurance, and I relied off crypto, and I would be in the same position right now when it collapsed, right? I'd be like, oh shit, if I was living off my crypto, I'd be right back in the same position, but I changed my mindset. So as you start to grow wealth in the next couple of years, when people start to see these big price appreciations, really start to think diversification, start to think wealth building versus getting rich. I think that's the biggest.
No one on earth, even wealthy people, live on their investments.
Right.
Wealthy people live on the debt that they're borrowing.
Yes.
So like if people out there think that like being an investor is the way to getting rich, it's one of the ways, but cash flow is king.
Yes.
And investments don't provide you cash flow like real estate does. But
Yes.
real estate is like a whole other ballgame in this territory where you have to have 25% cash down. I mean, it's an already inflated market. That's a bubble. So, I mean, we could
Yep.
talk about that in the next live stream we do.
Yes.
That's a huge bubble. And most people are getting into real estate now just to be able to, like, for the tax liability perspective.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, that's a really big thing that I learned very early on, and it helped me is like wealthy people don't live on their investments.
No.
Their investments are a place that they park their cash flow.
Yes.
And
Yep.
they live off of debt that they're borrowing.
Yes, and then when you yeah, that's such a powerful thing. That's one thing that I learned. It was like for example, a leveraged life insurance policy. I can borrow from my policy to live. I can put all my income into my policy and borrow to live, and there's no tax implications on it. So we'll continue to talk about this stuff and help you guys grow. And it's just about getting your tribe is really important, Warriors. So Waters Above, I know you have a program, and I know you launched a new exit strategy as well. How can people get a hold of you? I have your YouTube channel down below in the description. What is the best way for people to get a hold of you or join your program?
Oh, I appreciate you sharing that link. Yeah, so my channel's Waters Above Crypto, and then also I have my website, watersabovecrypto.com, and that's where I share all my courses. And yeah, my mastermind course is actually pretty, like, it's packed. It has like 140 total videos, I think now, going across the exit strategy blueprint and all of the videos where I talk about investment thesis, how to learn TA, how to, just invest properly. And luckily enough, I made the course when Bitcoin was like $10,000. So it was before the bull run really showed itself. So it's cool to be able to go back and to just see how all that TA and everything panned out. But yep, my YouTube channel and then my website.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you guys need that, so if you're watching this in the future, watersabovecrypto.com. If you click down below in the description, you'll see his YouTube channel. And then in your YouTube channel in the description, there's all the details there as well, right? Oh, I think I lost you.
I got you, brother. Sorry about that.
Yep. So in your description, is it have all the website and stuff?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so on my description, and I don't have WhatsApp or Instagram or any of that other stuff, so it's really easy to find me. It's just my YouTube channel, my website, my Patreon. And my Patreon is I do a weekly podcast. So those people that like want more content from me, I'm doing those 1 hour podcasts on the weekends for everyone. I go over a bunch of altcoins too, because I've had some people that they're like, "Oh man, all you cover is Bitcoin." I'm like, "No, I cover 6 times more coins than Bitcoin every week."
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, we've had a lot of our community crossover, just nothing but love and high vibrations. So we appreciate you. Warriors, we're going to keep this consistently going, keeping you calm during the sustainable summer. Remember, Warriors, the circumstances are neutral. Your emotions are not. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. As we always say, Warriors, rise, get your shit together. Let's